Our final paper of the day is our esteemed convener, and I'd like to say thank you from the chair for inviting me as well as for the whole day. You've done extremely well, Paddy, so thank you for that. And his subject is freedom of information, misnomer. Thank you very much.
For the full information, it's not supposed to be me up here. Unfortunately, a dear friend of mine was unable to give the paper today, and therefore I'll be giving you what I've learnt, which is not nearly as much as some of you might have learnt, but I think it raises the topic of how we might find solutions. But let me perhaps link earlier in the day to what we've just heard about the coroner. The newly appointed chief coroner in Victoria was the barrister who for 8 years tried to get me deregistered. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big task because it's about changing the hearts and minds of people who have had a long period of time of not understanding how pursuing truth in medicine is good for everybody. And last year we heard about Lindy Chamberlain. How many times do we have to say Lindy Chamberlain before we get real change in the coronial process? How can we have a barrister who so poorly performed in the process of having me demonised and yet be appointed to the chief coroner in Victoria? We don't have mechanisms of accountability, we don't have mechanisms of quality assurance in the behaviour of people along the way of healthcare, and they need to be both administrators and the legal services in order for us to be able to, as clinicians, to be able to do our job. And one of the things that I've spent my time trying to get information about is the behaviour of the legal profession within the National Health Regulator. And freedom of information, it is a misnomer. You have to go through all sorts of hoops to get even anything near vaguely the truth. Nigel Linklater was the person who had committed to presenting last year but wasn't able to make the meeting, and had hoped to be able to put a video presentation to this meeting, but unfortunately his ill health means he wasn't able to be here. So my take on freedom of information, it takes time and you need dedication. Involves a lot of effort, and it's a lot of emotional effort. When you're seeking information that you're trying to rescue yourself from drowning in your career, it really is very hard. It requires resolve. I'm going to get every piece of information because that's the only way I will get the truth. And people are not wanting you to find the truth because we've heard many presentations talking about the hiding of the truth, the lack of transparency, the lack of accountability. And Nigel has taught me that you must be organised. And it's one of the things we're doing about the Coroner's Court. We're actually investigating all the investigations of the Victorian Coroner's Court, which is actually on the internet. You can find out how many expert witnesses they used in each case. So that's some of the information that we're gaining. We're being organised about getting that information. We've got a database already. You must have a strategic approach and expect that the bastards aren't going to give you the information. So you've got to look for ways for getting around that. And the revelations can be threatening because you realise there are people saying nasty things about you that you may not actually find out who they are. But you might find there's a lot more people saying a lot more nasty things about you than you actually realised. And this is really sad because asking a question and seeking information being taken as a threat, it's because there's a lack of transparency. It's because there's a lack of accountability. So the system feels very threatened, which is why in the case in the coroners, in the Supreme Court, we had the hospital and the coroner joining in an action to stop the coroner being made to do an inquest. That's the sort of thing that's out. And therefore, if you go looking for information about that, they're going to feel threatened. Expect, and I think this is the thing, and this is Caroline's point, you know, look after yourself. Make yourself realise that, yes, you're going to find some stuff. If you can hear the words spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, Rudyard Kipling, you know, expect this sort of stuff to come at you. You need countless freedom of information requests. They cost a few dollars for each of them, $20 or $30. It depends on where you're going, which state you're in, so there's costs involved. But it's not absolutely onerous, but you have to make many, many, many in order to be able to get really good information. And you have to challenge those. You have to ask for everything, and you can ask for everything held about yourself in any government department. Make a list of all the people involved. So a strategic plan, if you're going to do this, don't just have a bit of a shot of it. Don't send off a couple and expect that you're going to get somewhere. You've got to say, this is part of my strategy of resolving an issue. So park it if you're not going to do this would be my advice, because doing a little bit gets nowhere and causes you self-harm. Okay, it gets you upset, it doesn't get you any resolution. So all the people involved, every document you think or know exists. Meetings you know took place that you attended or you didn't attend. So it's really like writing a novel. You've got to set out a way forward in order to be able to end up with the story being told. Think about the plan of attack, everything, like preparing to write the novel. Discover the information officer's name and email and make them your friend. You want them to be on your side. So in each of the organisations, befriend the people who might give you the information. Make the initial requests detailed, precise, but all-inclusive of all the possible circumstances. So I'm not giving you legal advice here. I'm saying what I found I needed to do to get anywhere, and where I didn't go very far because I found that was not a direction that was opening up for me, whereas Nigel is somebody who's used this to a very great extent that has helped him along the way. So it's emails, it's notes, it's minutes of meetings. When asking for documents, mention who you think might be involved. So you've really got to have this strategy of saying, how am I going to get all those facts by asking all those questions about date, time, etc. So it's every variation of your name too. Paddy Dewan, Professor Patrick Dewan, PA Dewan, all those variations that they might have used, Dr. Dewan, everything. So you can capture at least maybe one more piece of information which will open another door of requests in order to be able to find the information that will help turn it around in your favour. Start a referencing system. So get a database together of all the information as it comes through, what you've put out and what you're getting back. Save them in a folder in which you've got them so that they come up in date order, and have a keyword in them so that you can search related to organisations, related to various events as well. And Nigel considers that you convert them to PDF files. That's not something that I've done, but it seems like a good idea as well. And challenge everything. And again, this takes time because you've got to respond within 30 days, and so therefore they take a bit longer, and then you chase them, and then you chase the commissioner, the redacted documents that you've been sent. So you really do need to be dedicated. So you can challenge the redactions, you can challenge the legal privilege that they're claiming, and it's a throwaway line. They virtually give you nothing when you first ask, is my experience. In every direction, they effectively give you nothing, and so you have to challenge it, and you have to go through yet another process because they are threatened by what you're trying to do, and that is to find the truth.